Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to Command Power, the show in which we discuss all things Magic the Gathering with a focus on Commander. And today we have another episode in our Spoiler Spotlight series in which I talk about, well, spoilers and tell you what my thoughts are on them. But before that, just a quick reminder to click subscribe if you enjoy my videos. We're well on our way to 1 million subscribers and your support means everything to me. And today we're going to be talking about the 12th Doctor from the Doctor Who Universes Beyond product. For 3 colors, 1 blue and 1 red, it's a legendary creature, Time Lord Doctor 4/4, with the first spell you cast from anywhere other than your hand each turn has Demonstrate. When you cast that spell, you may copy it. If you do, choose an opponent to also copy it. A copy of a permanent spell becomes a token. And whenever you copy a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on the 12th Doctor. So for anybody who's been following my channel for any time, you will know that I absolutely adore the Demonstrate mechanic. I'm going to be making a video on it very soon. It's probably one of my favorite mechanics ever, and I think it's one of the best multiplayer mechanics we've ever had. So I am incredibly excited about this commander, and this has basically pushed me to buy all of the Doctor Who decks because I'm seeing a lot of really cool and interesting designs there. Wizards always seems to do this, pack all of the great designs in the universes beyond decks, so we have to buy them. But hey, they're doing a pretty good job. I've never seen Doctor Who, but man, I love this card so much. First off, as I've mentioned, Demonstrate is incredible. It's a mechanic that allows you to interact with your opponents in a really unique way, and you're going to get to give people stuff. So you can either build this in a very fun kind of group huggy way, or you can build it more optimized. I think there's a lot of actual different ways to build this. The interesting thing is that you're only demonstrating the first card each turn, and it has to be a card cast from anywhere other than your hand, which does cause it to have a little bit of restrictions, but restrictions are good when you're building commander decks, and I think that gives us a little bit of focus to work with this. So obviously one thing to note is that it triggers once per turn, but you can trigger it during your opponent's turn. So if you have ways to cast stuff from exile during other people's turns, which we'll talk about in a little bit, then this can be very strong. It doesn't have to be from exile, of course, it can be from anywhere other than your hand, but exile is going to be the easiest thing for us to do. The other interesting thing about the card is that it's kind of buffing itself every time you copy something, and since you're going to be copying with his own ability, this is going to be growing quite big potentially, at which point you might be able to finish the game just with this alone. It's a very cool design in that sense. So let's talk about what kind of mechanics this is going to work well with. I think it's obviously going to be very good with any kind of mechanic, as we've said, the cast from exile. So stuff like Cascade is going to be great. Suspend, which is what it's supposed to be built around, is very good as well. But not only that, Impulse Drawing is great with this. That's an interesting way to build around this. We also have something like Foretell, which is going to work very well as well by allowing us to exile something first and then play it from exile later on. The cool thing as well is that since this is a Time Lord Doctor, we're going to be able to pair it with a companion, which are all monocolor as far as we've seen so far. So that means that we can actually make a 3-color deck with this and dip into another color for all of those sweet synergies. The other thing that we can build around with this card is copying effects. Seeing as he's going to get a counter every time we copy something, so I thought of a few cards off the top of my head that I really like that would be very good in this deck. Something like Errant is obviously going to be very good here since we're going to be copying spells a lot. Something like Jingataxius, whilst not being the most fun, is also very good in this deck. Do bear in mind that they won't get Demonstrate because you're not actually casting them from exile, just copying them, but still they're pretty cool cards to include in the deck. So we do want to make sure that we're going to be casting stuff during other people's turns, as we said, to get the most out of this ability. And how can we do that? Well, one of the main ways we're going to do that is through Suspend cards, or cards with time counters on them, because in this set there's a mechanic called Time Traveling, and that's a pretty good support for that kind of thing, since it allows us to remove counters at instant speed from stuff, which is then going to mean that you're often playing them during your opponent's turn, which then means you can demonstrate them. A card that works really well with this is Deep Sea Kraken, because it's often going to end up getting the last counter removed during your opponent's turn, at which point you're going to be able to get an extra Kraken if you want to, and give somebody else a Kraken of their own as well. I would be careful when you demonstrate permanent spells, since it's a lot easier for your opponent to eventually betray you and attack you with your own creatures and stuff, but man, I am just so excited about this design, so excited about the possibilities that this card affords, and I can't wait to make a deck for it. I am of course going to wait for the whole spoiler of the set so that I can make a good list for you guys, but stay tuned if you're as excited about this as I am. So there you have it. Those have been my thoughts on this new spoiler. What do you think about this card? Please let me know in the comment section below. I read all comments and respond to all of them too. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like or subscribe. It really helps the channel. And until next time, take care. Woo!